Chapter 18. Throughout the long night, Rebecca clung to life. The family was allowed to visit her in 10-minute intervals twice an hour, so everyone took shifts going in two by two. One of the nurses explained that although Rebecca was in a coma, she might be able to hear, so she suggested that they say positive, encouraging things. Let her know you love her, the nurse told them. Leah staked out a place on one of the Alterian sofas in the waiting area. She didn't care whether the entire Longacre family wanted her around or not. She wasn't going to leave with Rebecca's life hanging on in the balance. Whenever it was Ethan's turn to see his little sister, Leah went with him. She slipped her hand into Rebecca's and squeezed gently. The child's skin felt cool. "Hi," Leah whispered close to Rebecca's ear. "It's Leah, your old hospital roommate. Can you hear me? Please wake up, Rebecca." Only the hiss of the respirator answered Leah. "You've got to wake up, Rebecca." Leah bit her lip, trying to keep her voice low and calm. "Who's going to take care of your chickens? You're the only one who knows how to really and truly take care of them." The green line showing Rebecca's heartbeat marched unchanging across the monitor. "You know, I can't tell one chicken from another. How will I know which one is mine if you don't tell me?" Leah asked. Leah felt Ethan's hand on her shoulder. He crouched beside her, enveloping Leah's hand in his. He whispered something in German in Rebecca's ear. "Come back to us, little one," he added in English. "Do you not know how we love you? Can you not see how we want you to smile at us?" His quiet voice and simple pleas practically unraveled Leah. "I'll take you for a ride in my car," she promised the child on the bed. "Wouldn't you like that? You can ride up front and wave at all your friends." "Little sister," Ethan said, "I will let you hold the buggy reins. I'm sorry I have always told you no before, but now they will be yours. I will ride beside you, and you can make old Bud step high." Their 10 minutes were up. Rebecca had neither moved nor responded. Shakily, Leah left with Ethan and returned to the waiting room. Leah slumped into a chair and buried her face in her hands. "When we were in the hospital together last December, it was different," she told Ethan. "Rebecca was sick, but she could talk and smile. Now she's completely helpless. I'm afraid." "Many people are praying for her," Ethan said. "There is a constant prayer vigil day and night." The news comforted Leah, and it gave her hope. Surely if so many prayers were being said on Rebecca's behalf, how could a loving God turn a deaf ear to them? Throughout the next day, Amish friends and neighbors came to check on Rebecca and comfort her family. Women brought food-filled baskets so that the Longacres would not have to buy food in the hospital cafeteria. Church elders came, somber men in dark suits, holding their hats in their hands, offering quiet prayers with Jacob and his sons. Leah watched it all, like a parade that she didn't belong to and couldn't get in step with. She knew she stuck out in her English clothes, but she couldn't leave, and she felt that Ethan wanted her with him. They talked little, but simply sat in the corner together, their arms and shoulders touching. It comforted Leah to be near him. She hoped her presence offered him some measure of comfort, too. Jonah arrived around noon. He was dressed Amish, and Leah realized it was the only time she'd seen him dressed that way. He looked big and raw-boned, ill at ease in the confines of the hospital. Charity went to him, and they stared mutely in each other's eyes. Jonah did not go in to see Rebecca, but when Charity returned from a visit, he sat with her, shielding her protectively with his large body. Several doctors came to check on Rebecca, an orthopedist, a neurologist, a critical care physician, and an internist. Each doctor told the family the same thing. No change. The next 48 hours will be her most critical. That evening, Jacob sent his exhausted parents home. "Your collapse will not bring Rebecca back to us," he told Opa. And to Sarah, he said, "Go get some rest, daughter. You must think now of your own child." Baby Nathan had been taken away earlier by friends who could care for him until the family returned home. In the early hours of the morning, unable to sleep on the lumpy sofa, Leah ventured down the quiet halls to the elevator. On the ground floor, she found a small chapel, dimly lit and as quiet as a tomb. Sighing, she slid into one of the short rows of pews and bowed her head. Her mind went blank. She wasn't sure what to say to God anymore. She had already made 100 promises to him, if he'd only make Rebecca well. Now, in this place dedicated to prayer, Leah felt empty and desolate. She thought about her stay in the hospital and her terror when she'd been told by the doctors that they wanted to amputate her leg, and she remembered how Rebecca and Charity and Ethan had come into her life and made her less fearful. Now she felt helpless and useless. "Leah," Ethan's voice interrupted her thoughts. "How are you?" He slipped into the pew. "Not too good," she answered truthfully. I'm really scared, Ethan. I'm scared that Rebecca isn't ever going to wake up. She hasn't once acted as if she's really here with us, he admitted, but I will not give up hope. I keep thinking about Gabriella and how she kept showing up last December. Where is she now when we need her? She's an angel, so why doesn't she do something? What if she really wasn't an angel, he asked. What if there is some other explanation? Leah shook her head. I was so sure she was, and you told me that you thought so too. All we know for certain is that we cannot explain her strange comings and goings, but even if she is an angel, you cannot expect her to show up in every crisis. I'm not asking that they show up in every crisis, but Rebecca needs her now. She should be here. What kind of guardian angel is she anyway? Why wasn't she on duty when that truck went out of control? Angels are not servants of people, they are servants of God. Then God should not have sent Gabriella to stop the accident happening in the first place. Ethan took a deep breath and smoothed Leah's hair. But God did not. I do not understand why either, but he did not stop the accident. Leah laid her head against Ethan's broad chest and began to cry softly. On Sunday, while the Amish community attended church and prayed for Rebecca and her family, the Longacres remained in the ICU waiting room. Leah stayed also, knowing she couldn't return to her apartment as long as Rebecca was in a coma. The medical tests on Rebecca continued to be discouraging, but still Leah clung to hope. That evening she called Mrs. Stoltz and quit her job. How is the little girl? Mrs. Stoltz asked. No change, Leah said sadly. On Monday morning the doctors arrived, their expressions unreadable, making Leah feel especially uneasy. She had once seen such carefully guarded looks on their faces of her own doctors before they delivered the devastating news that she had bone cancer. The neurologist held the clipboard and spoke directly to Jacob and Tilly. We've repeated tests on Rebecca for days now, he said in a kind but firm voice. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but Rebecca has no higher brain activity. She hasn't had much since she was brought in, but still we wanted to give her every opportunity for recovery. Medically, your daughter is brain dead, Mr. Longacre. The only thing that is keeping her alive is the machines. I want your permission to turn the machines off and let her body join her spirit. In the stunned silence, no one spoke. Leah wanted to scream at him. She wanted to strike him. She wanted to knock him down and step on him. She stood froze to the floor and watched Tilly's face crumble with grief and a trail of tears run down Jacob's craggy cheeks. You are sure of this? The doctor held out a long piece of paper with computer-drawn squiggles on it. This is her EEG, a measurement of her brain activity from the time she was brought in. As you can see, the line gets progressively flatter, and her reflexes are gone. Plus her pupils are fixed and dilated. All these factors convince me of the diagnosis. Jacob stared long and hard into the doctor's face. Tilly hung on his arm, as if it were her sole means of support. We will tell her goodbye, Jacob finally said. Leah trembled. Why didn't he fight? Why didn't he yell no? How could he accept the doctor's words so completely? Doctors could be wrong. Tests could be incorrect. Hadn't that been true in Leah's own case? The doctor said, take all the time you need. As Jacob turned to lead his family toward their final visit into the ICU cubicle, the doctor added, even if Rebecca had awakened, sir, she would never have been normal. There was simply too much damage. Jacob nodded, then stepped inside the cubicle. Leah trailed behind hesitantly, acutely aware that she was not family but only a bystander in Rebecca's life. So she stood outside the enclosure, her palms pressed against the glass, watching. One by one, each member of Rebecca's family bent and kissed the little girl's cheek. They surrounded the bed, hovering like darkly dressed angels, holding hands and bowing their heads. Leah could hear them murmuring in German, and she could see the expressions of quiet acceptance on their faces. Leah felt numb all over, as if all the blood had been drained from her body and replaced with ice water. She couldn't accept this. It was horrible and undeserved sentence on a sweet, loving child with her whole life ahead of her. Perhaps the Longacres could see it as God's will, but Leah could not. God was unfair. When the family finished praying, they sang a hymn in German, then touched Rebecca one last time and left. Leah rode down with them in the elevator. In the parking lot, she blinked in the bright sun. She had not been outside in days. She heard Opus say, the buggy is over here, Jacob. As they started toward it, Leah took Ethan's hand, holding him back. Ethan, please don't go yet. Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do now. He stroked her cheek. Now we go home and prepare for Rebecca's wake and funeral. May I come? She asked in a small voice. Certainly you may come. For now, go home, get some rest. Come to the house tomorrow morning.